All right, let's talk about an invasion that's happening right now, all around us, and yeah, even inside of us. But here's the catch. You can't see it. We're talking about microplastics. And we're going to break down exactly where they come from, what they're doing, and most importantly, give you a solid game plan to fight back. Just think about your morning. That coffee cup you grabbed on the way to work, the tea bag you just dropped into your mug, even that comfy fleece jacket you love to wear. Well, they've all got a secret in common. They're constantly shedding tiny, invisible bits of plastic into our world, into our food, and yep, into our bodies. So, what are we actually dealing with here? The official definition is pretty simple. Microplastics are basically any piece of plastic that's smaller than 5 millimeters. To put that in perspective, that's about the size of a single sesame seed. But as you're about to see, they can get way, way smaller than that. Now this chart, this is where it gets really interesting. On the right, you've got your macroplastics, the bottles and bags we can all see. But as you move to the left, you see how they break down into microplastics, and then even tinier, nanoplastics. These things are so small they're completely invisible, which is exactly what makes them such a huge problem. Okay, so if these things are literally everywhere, from big pieces we can see to microscopic specks we can't, the billion-dollar question is, where is it all coming from? Let's dig in. It really boils down to two main culprits. First, you have primary microplastics. These are plastics that were made to be small from the get-go. Think of those little microbeads they used to put in face wash. But the vast, vast majority are what we call secondary microplastics. These are created when bigger plastic things, like our bags, bottles, and clothes, get brittle and break apart from sunlight and just general wear and tear. And now we're going to focus on a factor that scientists are realizing is like pouring gasoline on this fire, and it's something we all use every single day: heat. This quote from researcher Kazi Albab Hussein just nails it. Heat basically makes plastic unstable. It causes all those tiny polymer chains that make up plastic to just vibrate and break apart, releasing particles at a much, much faster rate. And boom, here's the proof. Check this out. One study found that hot tea from a plastic-lined tea bag had about 60 plastic particles per liter. That's nearly double what they found in iced tea. It's the exact same story for coffee in a plastic-lined cup. That heat is literally leaching plastic directly into your drink. And it's not just our morning brew, it's laundry day too. When we wash clothes made of things like polyester or nylon in hot water, the combination of heat and friction makes those tiny fibers snap right off and go down the drain. Just switching to a cold wash can make a huge difference. And if you need one more piece of evidence, this is it. Look at that number. That's 2 billion. Scientists found that zapping a single plastic baby food container in the microwave could release over 2 billion nanoplastics from just 1 square centimeter of plastic. It's just a shocking example of how much heat accelerates this whole process. So all of this leads us to the next really important question. With all these particles in our food, in our water, in the air we breathe, what in the world happens when they get inside our bodies? Well, one of the main ways they get to us is through the food chain. Tiny plastics in the ocean get eaten by tiny plankton. Then, small fish eat the plankton. Bigger fish eat the small fish. And eventually, we eat those fish. The plastic basically bioaccumulates. It just builds up and gets more and more concentrated at every single step up the chain. This chart kind of maps out the whole journey. We're exposed by eating and drinking, and also by breathing it in. And once it's inside, the potential for harm is really twofold. You've got the physical damage the particles themselves can cause, and then you've got the toxic chemicals that can leak out of them, leading to things like inflammation. And what we're learning about the health impacts is frankly pretty concerning. Scientists have already found microplastics in human blood, deep inside our lungs, and even in brain tissue. Early studies are suggesting they can mess with our gut bacteria, cause inflammation, and they've even been linked to a higher risk of heart disease and stroke. Now, it's really important to say that research is still ongoing, but the early signs are definitely worrying. Okay, that was a lot of heavy information, I know, but the goal here isn't to scare you, it's to empower you. So let's flip this around and focus on what we can actually do to start fighting back. Your kitchen is ground zero. It's your first line of defense. So rule number 1, keep plastic away from heat. That means no more microwaving plastic, period. And try not to pour boiling water into plastic stuff. Instead, just opt for glass or stainless steel. Oh, and for your water, A good carbon block filter can really help cut down the microplastics coming from your tap. Next up, the laundry room. The solution here is pretty simple, actually. Whenever you can, try to choose clothes made from natural stuff like cotton or wool. When you do have to wash synthetics, just use a cold water cycle. And finally, look for plastic-free detergents, like those laundry strips you see now, to cut down on all that packaging waste. And finally, take a peek at your personal care products. A lot of cosmetics and scrubs have plastics added on purpose. Here's a really easy rule of thumb when you're reading the ingredients. If you see words that start with poly, acryl, or have polymer in them, like polyethylene or acrylates copolymer, that's a pretty good sign that there's plastic hiding inside. Look, the problem of microplastics can feel massive, overwhelming even, but real change always starts with small, conscious choices. It's not about being perfectly plastic-free tomorrow, it's just about taking that first step. So what's yours going to be? Skipping that plastic to-go cup? Switching to a cold wash? Every single small change really does make a difference.